Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finest thing to hit the internet since that whistling redneck guy. It's the Bag Lady Benito Show with special guests Shania and Mark Twain.
Help us! They sealed the exit.
Please subscribe, people. My last paycheck bounced harder than Barry's tits.
Yeah, and Marcus Brownlee's been threatening to dox me.
I am your amphetamine-powered announcer, Bovon Fingerman, and I just finished hammering together my own theme park on the roof of this rat-crowded apartment complex. Now, please welcome your humble host. His favorite movie villain of all time is the Jared Leto Joker. It's bus driver Brandon.
I thought this was Hot Ones.
The fortune teller promised me I'd die in my sleep, but it never happens.
Yeah.
Okay, low lives. We're too poor to review any of those Wes Anderson movies. So I guess we're stuck with 1985's bizarre pseudo-sequel, Return to Oz, directed by Walter Murch.
Barry, this has got to be one of the hottest sequels of all time. I mean, sure, we all miss the flying monkeys, but I am absolutely enchanted by this sexy moosehead and these fiery bad boy wheelers.
Go take your stool softener, Bovon. Everybody knows this movie sucks.
It sucks.
Terrible movie. It's got this dumbass pumpkin boy thing. Yet it doesn't have any Oompa Loompas or any of that cool shit.
Now you're thinking of Munchkins, you brain-dead old swamp hag.
Hey, it's not my fault Uncle Jamie never took you fishing. Maybe if you hadn't pissed your pants so many times.
Shania, you didn't even watch this movie. No wonder your goddamn check bounced.
Shut up, asswipes. Old Barry's got another hangover headache. And I've also got a somewhat controversial take on this movie. See, it all comes down to...
Yeah, nobody cares about your cringe takes, Barry. Now pack up that sloppy gut of yours and tell us about the production.
So, the first thing we gotta understand is that Return to Oz isn't really meant to be a sequel to the first Wizard of Oz movie, which had come out 46 years earlier. Director Walter Murch didn't care about matching the tone or aesthetics of the original Judy Garland version. That wasn't the point.
All of these are ideas that come from the books. I didn't invent these things.
Instead, he wanted to construct a version that remained fairly faithful to the original L. Frank Baum novels from the early 1900s.
Well, is that why Return to Oz has such a creepy Tim Burton vibe to it?
Bangarang, Fly. In fact, Tim Burton has even admitted that the Jack Skellington guy from that one movie was inspired by the Jack Pumpkinhead guy from Return to Oz. And the production was plagued with disputes, many of which stem from the fact that the studio wasn't all that comfortable producing a Wizard of Oz movie that looked like it was directed by Cannibal Corpse. Plus, production lagged behind schedule, so they fired Walter Murch's ass. And then the likes of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and Francis Ford Coppola reached out to the studio and convinced them to hire Murch back. But sadly, this would be Murch's first and last directorial foray.
No, that's not true, Barry. He also directed one episode of some animated Star Wars thingy. You need to spend less time logging into OnlyFans and more time researching these movies. You tubby asshole.
Brrr. Okay. Keep your chin up, Barry boy. Don't let him smell the blood in the water.
Yo, Barry. I heard you're gonna lose your actual job because of the
Pipe down, asshole. They don't like it when we do real talk on this channel. It's not that I'm losing my job. It's that I'm gaining an opportunity to go live in the bus shelter.
Well, at least you've done it before, right?
Yeah, Barry, we don't give a shit, bro. Maybe being homeless will help you lose some weight.
Yo, Barry, let me tell him about the cast.
It's still my goddamn show. So, the first actor to note is young Fairuza Balk, who plays Dorothy, and has some big-ass ruby slippers to fill in terms of following Judy Garland's performance. Now, allegedly, Fairuza outperformed like 1,000 other little girls who auditioned for the part.
Don't I know her from somewhere?
Bobby Boucher, ho ho ho.
Well, you know what? I happen to find Deputy Dog to be very, very sexy.
That's right, folks. The Bulkster would go on to, co-star in an Adam Sandler movie. I mean, it's not his worst movie, but it's no Happy Gilmore. But look, she does a fine job as Dorothy, even though she's way younger than Judy Garland.
Yeah, why is she younger in this movie?
Well, meanwhile, the part of Auntie M goes to this Piper Laurie lady, who went on to show up in Twin Peaks and a bunch of other shit. You remember watching Twin Peaks, folks? Nobody knew for sure who was responsible for the exploration of poor Laura Palmer.
Not like today.
Not like today.
Not like today.
Not like today.
Yeah, not like today. Asswipes.
Not like today.
Well, I thought it was the log lady who expired Laura Palmer.
Shut the hell up. Listen, you might just recognize the voice of Pumpkin Man Jack, whatever his damn name is.
Melted silver?
Dang it! It's on the tip of my proboscis, Barry.
Is it Paul Giamatti?
That's not even close, Bovan.
Ving Rhames?
What? Look, the pumpkin guy is puppeteered and voiced by Brian Henson, son of the legendary Jim.
And welcome to Return to Oz. So this was actually the first film that I worked on as doing the whole film.
Here's a fun fact. This lucky bastard's married to Mia Sara, whom he met on the set of that Legend movie.
Sloane Peterson married a puppet guy? Where's the justice in this world, Barry?
Tell me about it. We live in a world where well-respected YouTube scholars can barely afford to pay for sex. Anyway, that's about all the actors you're likely to recognize, so let's sink our bankrupt hooks into this movie's meaty underbelly.
For starters, it's easy to forget that the original L. Frank Baum books are set in the late 19th century.
Well, I was in Kansas earlier this year, and it still looks exactly like that.
Why were you in Kansas?
Because I like my whores to be corn-fed, Barry.
Ugh. Carry on, my wayward son.
So the stick is that Auntie M and Uncle Henry are struggling to rebuild in the wake of the Twister, and they believe Dorothy hallucinated the whole trip to Oz from the last movie. And because they don't trust their mainstream medical professionals with their fancy degrees and their so-called training, the aunt and uncle decide to visit this chiropractor guy who has secret techniques that your lamestream doctors don't want you to know about.
His name is Dr. Whorley. You know, to kind of like the twister that delivered Dorothy to Oz.
Yeah, this place looks like a sanitarium. I guess they're gonna electrocute the shit out of Dorothy.
I think it's called chelation. They're gonna make her ride the lightning. Then it's a few gallons of methylene blue and some ice water baths.
Nah, Barry, this ain't even alternative medicine. You know, back in the 1890s, you couldn't exactly go to your nurse practitioner for a bottle of Zoloft. We were still in the dark ages of psychotherapy, and electric shock treatment was one of the only proposed remedies.
In any case, I actually like the dark feel of this premise. The clinic feels claustrophobic and malevolent, and we know that Dorothy's at risk of being further traumatized. And she also meets this helper girl who'll be important later on.
Anyway, there's a whole Deus Ex Machina sequence that leads to Dorothy escaping the asylum and, well,
returning to Oz!
And once again, I actually like the aesthetic choices here. The land of Oz is no longer polished and oversaturated. There's a deadly desert that turns folks into sand, and there are dilapidated courtyards filled with headless statues. Dorothy is accompanied by her chicken friend, Belinda, who actually looks pretty convincing. And we're led to believe it's highly significant that she's carrying the bird.
She has a chicken with her.
Maybe Oz is looking to open up a franchise.
Nah, man, they already got these dope-ass trees that grow lunch buckets.
Yeah, we used to have one of those trees, but Barry kept eating all the goddamn lunches.
Eventually, we meet these Wheeler asswipes, who scared the piss out of me when I was just a little Barry.
Hey, you know, these Wheelers sound just like them squeaky-ass gurneys back at the sanitarium.
Yeah, and it's almost like the dials on this electrocution machine match the dials on the face of this tik-tok guy.
Jesus, space doc, and Christ, you're all stating the obvious.
The what?
Yeah, the whole shtick is that the stuff in Oz is a distortion of Dorothy's reality in Kansas. That's always been the shtick. Did you not notice it's the same actors? Pons Maar plays both the creepy orderly and the head wheeler. Gene Marsh plays both Nurse Wilson and Queen Mombi.
Barry, we know this old hag. Didn't she play Bad Martha from that White Willow movie?
Nah, man, the name's Balmantha.
She's Bag Martin.
Not like today.
Now, Bovon, we moved on. You seen our last wipe? Anyway, look, some of this stuff is pretty damn cool. I may be a bankrupt swindler with 1,000 divorces under my fat belt, but even I have a soft spot for this little tubby-ass mechanical soldier, tik-tok. He puts the sauce on this gang of wheelers, and he tries his best to help Dorothy complete a quest. If you're interested, you should check out the video that Mythbuster dork made about the actual tik-tok prop. Link in description, asswipes. Yeah, this was a pretty crazy design for 1985, and believe it or not, tik-tok's body is controlled by this shit-ass contortionist who folds himself up like a fucking flip phone in order to get inside.
Yeah, Barry, show us the motherfucking villains. We got wicked witches, flying monkeys. Come on, bruh.
Yeah, well, this was the mid to late 80s, and a lot of these dark fantasy-type movies took after Alice in Wonderland by fixating on losing one's head, or making heads interchangeable or whatever.
Off with her head, off with her head, get a hatchet, and just attach it.
Hey, man, I know what we can do. Take off her head. Yeah.
Since you were last here, I, that is my head, that which is left of me, where the brilliant and important parts are located, is now ruling and governing the known universe.
In this case, Miss Princess would like to take possession of Dorothy's head so she can add it to her creepy collection. Bitches like anorexic Hannibal Lecter.
Because the evil Princess Mommy can become a raging bitch, depending on which head she wears. In fact, she changes her heads more often than Bovon has to change its disgusting adult diapers.
And yet I still get laid way more often than you do, Barry.
Shit-ass. And we also got this guy, the Gnome King, whose spy shows up from time to time in the form of claymation. Yeah, we'll talk about him later on. And then Dorothy's next task is to wake up this pumpkin-head kid, who seems to be suffering from a mommy fetish.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah, so Dorothy steals some magical life powder and sprinkles some of it on this freaky-ass moose head. Which then comes to life so they can soar to safety on this crazy ketamine-fueled version of Santa Claus's sleigh.
Barry, this stuff is the giraffe's tits. One tootski and I've got strength and energy for days.
Yeah, they should have done a better job matching some of them shots.
Yeah, it's brighter than Gwyneth Paltrow's bleached out beehole down on the ground. Barry, what about this wheeler who's about to hit the deadly desert?
God damn. No wonder little shit-ass kids like me were terrified of this movie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Dorothy's friends kind of remind me of Showbiz Pizza and the Rock-afire Explosion Band. You know, from when we were kids?
Mark! Barry was too poor to set foot inside Showbiz Pizza when he was a kid. He has no idea what you're talking about.
I know about Showbiz Pizza, you shit-ass. But now it's Chuck E. Cheese. And they won't let me inside to play the games because Fly convinced them I was trying to sell Fit to the little kids. So that's yet another unresolved childhood issue for old Barry.
Your life is more depressing than Requiem for a Dream, Barry.
Feed me, Sarah. Feed me, Sarah. Feed me, Sarah. Feed me, Sarah.
So, listen, it's not like this movie.
And Barry?
Time to get paid.
Okay, gang, let's get down to brass tacks before ice shuts us down again. Today's episode is endorsed by Polish Fish from our good friends at Smegman's.
Yeah, but don't you mean Swedish fish?
No, fuck Swedish fish. These are Polish fish. They're healthier and more affordable. Now, listen, we're marketing these as candy. But if I'm being honest, the fish taste is pretty intense.
Yeah, plus those fuckers are pretty salty.
But these little gems are loaded with cold water fish oil, plenty of omega-3s, and caffeine. Lots and lots of caffeine.
Well, I gotta be honest, Bovon, this pitch sucks ass. I mean, why would folks want to buy these over Swedish?
Fuck Swedish fish! They all taste the same. These are Polish fish. They're high in protein, and they're great for loosening up the bowels.
Okay, gang. The promo code is, Candyman, 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 Candyman. Ha!
Game on!
Barry, there's not even any singing in this movie.
Yeah, and that's another point in its favor. So eventually, our posse of misfit toys lands at the Gnome King's doorstep.
Yeah, and that's where Dorothy confronts the first bit of evidence that this movie faced budget cuts.
Listen, folks, don't be looking for old Barry to defend this goddamn scarecrow. I think the worst part is the inconsistency. For most of his scenes, they couldn't even afford to actuate his mouth.
You were green.
What?
You were a green ornament.
I was?
Yet there's at least one scene where the mouth flaps along with whatever this shoddy asshole's saying. Man, what the fuck is this?
We never found him.
Anyway, folks, the Gnome King sets up a kind of devil's wager so that in order to resurrect the Scarecrow and her other friends, she'll have to select the proper trinkets from the Gnome King's shit-looking pawn shop.
And that's what we call cross-promotion, kiddos.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Holy Grail scene from The Last Crusade.
And since Dorothy's friends are all dumb as shit, they pick all the wrong objects.
And every time they pick wrong, the Lord Mountain King or whatever becomes more human until finally he's sitting there staring at her with them big-ass peepers like she just came home preggo on prom night.
Why did you come here?
Look, Nicol Williamson is legit brilliant. He's easily the best part of this movie.
She's already here, but not for much longer.
Huh. Gnome King kind of reminds me of the Burger King mascot from before they went bankrupt.
Yeah, this is what Barry looks like every time he logs onto OnlyFans.
Right down to the gaudy slippers.
So, of course, little Dorothy figures out that the emerald-colored items are the ones she's supposed to pick.
Which makes the Gnome King revert back to his mineral form. There's a big claymation showdown, and we find out the Gnome King is profoundly allergic to egg yolks. So the Gnomester is donezo.
Yeah, then we get this big shit coronation thing. They polished up tik-tok's stinking ass with the old brasso, and the Scarecrow's got plenty of glue to sniff. Oh, and the ladies of the kingdom are all throwing their sopping wet panties at Pumpkin Man. Plus, Dorothy selects Ozma as prom queen of Oz, since I guess Ozma's been helping her out or whatever.
And Jack, the pumpkin fucker, finally gets his rocks off.
Mom! My real mom!
What? So the 10-year-old child is his mom?
Well,
So, Dorothy wakes up back in Kansas. Yeah, apparently while she was fantasizing about Oz, lightning struck that stupid-ass sanitarium and fatally electrocuted the evil doctor.
So the shocker has become the shocky. That's delicious irony, Barry.
But the good news is there's another sanitarium 2 counties over. So Dorothy is still pretty much fucked. Al, tell them what they're supposed to have learned from this nutty-ass movie.
Ah, yes, Return to Oz, that curious and unsettling mirror of the cheerful fantasy we thought we knew. You see, Dorothy's journey in this darker sequel is not merely a child's dream. It is the deep, unconscious trembling of a society perched on the brink of collapse. When the land of Oz lies in ruin, turned to stone, it reflects the real desolation back in late 19th century Kansas. The farm repossessed, the soil barren, the family anxious beneath the grinding wheels of economic forces they cannot control. The poor farmer, you see, clings desperately to permanence, to land, property, stability, yet the universe continues its dance of impermanence, always changing, always shifting. To suffer is to resist this flow. In Return to Oz, even the whimsical turns monstrous. The wheelers with their clattering wheels echo the grinding machinery of industry devouring the pastoral dream, while tik-tok, the mechanized soldier, indicates deep anxieties about mechanization on a military-sized scale. To quote from Cormac McCarthy, "When God made man, the devil was at his elbow. A creature that can do anything, make a machine, and a machine to make the machine. An evil that can run itself 1,000 years, No need to tend it.
Yeah, but that quote doesn't apply all that well. You shit-ass. TikTok has to be tended to constantly, otherwise his abilities run down.
I never said it was a perfect application, but it still holds some relevance. Damn it, Barry! Now you've thrown off my flow, you shit-ass! At any rate, Dorothy's prescribed electroshock is not merely medicine. It is society's attempt to shock the child out of her dreams, to jolt her into the cold machinery of reality. But, you see, from the perspective of Tao or Zen, the fantasy world of Oz is no less real than Kansas. Dorothy's escape is the psyche's elegant rebellion against the tyranny of the rational mind. Where science would silence her visions with wires and volts, the deeper self says, "No, let's play." Oz, for all its madness and its wonder, is not an escape, but a return to wholeness. All right, back to you, King Hippo.
Asswipe. Okay, that's all we got for you now, folks. Tune in next time. Mako's gonna teach us all how to build our own beautiful veneers using discarded milk jugs.
Yeah, we're calling them Twainies, Barry.
Yeah, fuck them fancy pants dentists. We're all gonna save a bundle. Well, I don't know, Bovon. This just doesn't seem very safe.
Just relax, Barry. We're struggling to calibrate because we're not used to...
Not used to what, asshole?
Barry, you're just a little, massier than the average passenger. Now hold on while Bovon checks the suspension.
Yeah, Barry, stop complaining and try to have fun for once. You sloppy bitch.
Uh-oh.
Jesus titty-dropping Christ. Well, I guess Barry's gonna plummet to his doom again.
No, dumbass, that'd be too predictable.
I tried to tell them, but they never listen. I can taste the goddamn radiation. Probably only got one hair left on my balls. Goddamn senile coke fiend. I bet I'm the first Barry to come this close to the moon. But I don't know if we're gonna make it through this one, old Barry boy. I never wanted to go to space, not even when I was a little Barry. It's not natural. Oh my God. Sweet holy ass cracker Christ. Your ship has finally come in, Barry boy. After all these years, it's finally mine.
No, Barry, look out, it's a trap.
Pioneers! Oh, shit-ass pioneers! What? Who the shit are you?
Chang, chang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang.
I'm high as shit,
Outbound, full-fendered friend.
Bovon, I ain't gonna tell you again to get your goddamn finger out of there.
Barry, you smell like pumpkin farts and expired KY jelly.
Well, how about you piss right off this
And whoever
sled?
keeps kicking my seat's about to get their lip busted.
That is the most heroic dose I ever dropped in my life.
Listing over.
How are you so goddamn heavy?
No, it's not my fault.
No, don't
goddamn
like
piss
a
willies.
thunderhead.
Oh no, we lost Barry.
Rise like the mighty phoenix, Barry.
Barry.
You will prevail upon the world.
Try to land on your gut.
No, he'll be fine.
Here we are, Mr. Pilgrim, trapped in the amber of this moment.
My heart feels like an alligator.
It is possible to be homesick for a place even when you are there.
For whom is the funhouse fun